was 9 years old. My two foster parents, they were religious. They took me to church, and it was Berean. So yeah, that was the very first time I went to church, and I went to the 4th and 5th Impact, and they were doing this lesson talking about this God person, and didn't know who that was at that time, and it was like a big community just like welcoming me in, and I was just like, wow, like I've never felt this welcomed in a place, and I was like, I kind of like this, like I think I want to come here more often. So in 4th and 5th, they started talking about stories that this God person has done for people. And then in middle school, they started talking about like relationship and that relationship with this God person. And that like that impacted me and made me think, because they had that relationship with God, and I wanted to see if I can feel that. And I was determined to find that question out. So 2 weeks before camp, my best friend told me that he wasn't planning on going to camp. And I was like really upset about that. Now I'm gonna be by myself. So when we was starting to board the bus, I decided to just go straight to the back, ignore everybody. I remember sleeping like most of the way to Minnesota. It was just like long 8-hour drive, so I just decided to sleep. An hour or so before we arrived at Minnesota, the TV started to ask us a question. All right, so on the bus, they asked us a few questions, and one of them was if we had a question for God. And my question was if I really truly have a relationship with him, and if I like have a strong relationship with him. And yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll get some answers to that this week. Yeah.
I really believe God wants to speak to each and every one of you. I think that you're here because you want God to speak to you. And I want you to know that he can.
We were supposed to write on these little idols, words that you thought described you. You pray about it. You ask God for forgiveness, or if these words actually mean that. And then you break it open, and there's supposed to be a word inside. I closed my eyes and I started praying. I said, "Dear Lord, if this is you trying to talk to me, and if we have a relationship together, and will you give me a word that defines me and that you want me to do?" And I closed my eyes, sat there in silence for a minute, broke it open, and it was ignite. And I thought about it for a sec. And as I was walking to my leader, Noah, I talked to him. I was like, "Noah, I need some help. I think I'm feeling this thing inside." And he was like, "All right, sit down." And he pulled out his phone and read me this verse. And it was Romans 10:9. "If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." He asked me if I believed if Jesus is the Lord, and I said yes. And then if he died for my sins, and I said yes. And that he was raised from the dead, and I said yes. He's like, "You just accepted Christ." And I was like, "What? Really?" And I was like, he's like, "Yeah." And then he like gave me this big hug, and I was like so happy.
If you are celebrating your spiritual birthday today, can you stand up? When? Today.
Since the beginning of entering this building, Berean, I always wanted to know if I will ever have a relationship with God. And now I realize that I do, but the only reason I have a relationship with God is because of Jesus. What I felt was like reborn, and like I felt new, and
it was just amazing.
It's like the word that I got, ignite. I want to spread it. I want to spread this fulfilledness that's inside me of all the knowledge that I have to all my friends and all the people that are around me. I want to spread it.